brothers. But today, I want to talk about, number one, I want to thank each and every Zimbabweans that takes their cell phone to make a video to say what is in their heart, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. If you feel that you have something, you don't know how much insight it will give to somebody. It might just be that missing piece to what something is doing. There's nothing dumb. Get up and do it. Even if you don't hear any response or see any response, the right person that God wants to hear that message will hear it. You must be a dreamer who decides to move ahead contrary to public opinion. But I want to talk about the idea that should the World Bank help Zimbabwe today? Should Britain, as it is said, the rumor is there, and they are denying it? I don't believe them. Not even one bit. Because it's the philosophy that somebody is holding, or a system, an organization or nation is holding and stands on, that determines the process that they create. The British want to engage the government in place, whatever it is. And the Europeans and the British and the Americans feel left out on the marketplace in Zimbabwe and in Africa by China. They don't find and see an open way to come in. So they will find any way to come in. This idea about the World Bank that is based on the idea that the government is doing better, is structured better, the processes that they've now approved, is lies. It is the Europeans. Sometime, I think early this year, had a meeting with these Afro-Caribbean countries that they have a trade relationship with, and they had a big meeting where they said, as far as Africa is concerned, it's not what we need to do, but what is possible. Meaning, the walls are hard to climb because China has put walls around these African countries, including Zimbabwe, that they are trying to scale. They're saying, hey, we need to find an opening through this wall. Somehow, one way or other, if we dangle some money over the wall, somebody will receive it, but I say, hey, you can't just receive the money, you have to pull me in. That is what is happening. Now, in divine organizational evolution of organizations and nations, organizations, they run with philosophies, in other words, with thinking that will generate ideas, that will run out of power for the next space of time. We're always working into the future. We're always working by defining a future picture, a future state for nations, 100 years, 60 years, 30 years. China is the only country that I know at the moment of the major countries that have such a plan, which was started in 1979. And they're going through their next 30-year plan. So, the idea is this, that when you move from one paradigm, in other words, that place of those ideas for the next 30 years, when they run out, all the systems need to be allowed to die. There is need to have a disruption of the old processes. There needs to be a death so that there can be a birth. The old system dies. You get into the space of envisioning the new future, a future picture that you want to see. By God's design, we're always tapping capacity by 10, 20 time factor. By looking at China and American industrial growth, we know China grew 60 times in about 60 years. America, I mean to say, grew about 60 times in 60 years. And they say that there's a point when China grew 20 times in 20 years. So that growth is not as a result of trying to fix the old systems, but it's a result of looking and tapping and creating a new picture into their future, creating a new vision and a new mission. That new vision and that new mission needs a different energy, uses a different energy, and uses different ideas to get it where it is. It is a function of strategic process that says, what do we need? What do we have? What don't we have? What is the liability? And you move ahead. But the old system has no power. The old problems have no power to a nation that is driving itself to the future. People are stuck now because they haven't decided whether they want an evolutionary continuous fixing of old things whose morals have come out of date, or they want a revolutionary, drastic, dramatic change that transforms the nation. And we end up with a completely new system. Definitely we need a completely new political system. This economic system that technocrats and economists want to perpetuate, that is in our country, we're going to end up with no land. With the next 10 years, all that land will be bought by big guys, or these big guys that got all this money with the diamond. They'll come back and buy everything. You will have nothing. You will have nowhere. We'll have long queues of homeless people in our countries. Food will skyrocket. In 2008, when I was in South Africa, we go to Tembisa. The prices of food, unbearable in a rich country like that. So the point that I'm making is that for the reason of allowing the natural decline and the disruptive process, which is a natural divine science of transformation or change of any organization, of any nation, any organization, so that let it crumble, so people can re-entrepreneur, rethink new powerful ideas, re-envision, visioneering. We need new visioneering. We need new imagineering, re-entrepreneuring and re-engineering of our country, reinvention of our country. That's what we need. If you pop up inefficient systems, inadequate systems, inefficient establishments, ineffective, inefficient leaders, you draw the problems of people or nation into unnecessary suffering of destitution. That's what's happening in our country. The conditions in our country are as a view of our country, of the Western countries and the Chinese. The Chinese see it as a place where you can find things in the flay, mining, mines, minerals on the flay, and you can pick them up. And the foreign countries see us as a mass people fallen low who need constant help, who will never become. Therefore, they come with these templates of answers of what to do it. Britain has got its own plan with all its own experts. Those experts from these institutions, whether it's America, Britain, or China, they're overrated on Africa because our perception of our field, the perception of our field of needs and their perception are different. And every country, by God's design, has got its own national economic meme or gene of emergence, of continuous growth when they are united and when they, in complementarity, unite their competence, capacity, their dreams, their data, their information, their knowledge, their wisdom, and the technologies of today, and the modern mapping processes of existing technologies, technologies, from outside, and mind share. You can tap the minds of other people. When we do that, we can do that. Zimbabwe can do that. Africa can do that. But these processes, people that are seen to be helping up, whether it's United Nations, whether it's World Bank, whether it's IMF, they are stopping the death so that they can bear birth. They are stopping the natural divine process. And therefore, this money that the British wants to bring in does not solve our problem. Number one, these people, they see our people suffering, but they want to watch. They watch for the next 2 years. They want to watch for the elections. They don't even know what is going to happen, but they have this thinking that if they come in, somehow these Africans, these Zimbabweans, we will be able to tweak the way they do things. But what they're looking for is engagement in the markets. But they're using all the philosophies, kind of like a colonial philosophy, hegemonic philosophy that of kind of like an economic raison d'etat, engagement or positioning oneself for economic gain. They want to be the first to master the process and the systems, and not allowing us Africans. All the systems, the United Nations, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the United Nations itself, are all part of an old system that has got old philosophies that don't say Africa has come of age, Africa has reached its true realism, and Zimbabwe has reached its true realism. I want to say this, that, my brothers, if you look at a change in our country from a scientific, transformative process, then politics is the least of our problems, because there is a way of dealing with that. The perception that the government and President Mugabe and all these people have got this power that we have to take, and it's hard to take, it's difficult to take, it's only a perception, a figment in the minds of people that believe that. But if you understand, the power is creating the future picture, the next great place, and rally the nation behind that. Anybody else who is not following that system has no power. Only the people that are determined, that are running that mission, that journey, that destination, are the people that will have power. Just by creating this picture. But how would you get there? And then people are stuck, the parties and the technocrats, they don't believe that we can get our own money. Therefore, they have to create these relationships with these people. I am for relationships, but so that at the end, we start on a clean piece of paper, under our own conditions, and we tell, this is our market. This is what to do if you want to be in our market. We want equitable participation in our market, under our conditions. And we can innovate our market and say Zimbabwe is going to be a $400 billion nation. That's the pie. Guys, a yearly, $400 billion every year. There's massive projects to be done. Come, who wants to participate? Then we say, okay, we want to put money on the table. We have the resources. Are you coming with us? If you want to partake, come with us. These are the conditions. Put money on the table. Not the other way around. So I say no. We have everything we need. We're starting afresh, and up with complete different political system, completely different economic system, designed according to our field of needs and according to our dreams and our desire, according to our capacity, according to our national vision, and according to the idea that Zimbabwe, we want to reinvent Zimbabwe, or reimagine Zimbabwe, or rebuild, or build Zimbabwe, or rebuild Zimbabwe, whatever word or statement we choose to be our leading statement, and the concept of intent that we have our own capital, we need a massive industrial transformation